It's alright. Everything's gonna be okay. I'm glad you came to me. I know, you saw the new Zelda Echoes of Wisdom trailer, and you saw her riding that horse, and now you can't get that horse out of your head. Now you have an unbridled need for more cute horses on the Nintendo Switch. But it's okay. Just keep watching the video and I'll tell you about all the horses you can enjoy on Switch while you wait. Since the new Zelda trailer caused this issue, let's start with other games in the Legend of Zelda franchise. Of course, when the Switch released, so did The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. In that game, you can find horses all over Hyrule. You can sneak up on them and claim one as your own. Over time, you and your horse can grow your bond, but it will take a lot of soothing to do so. Ideally, what you want to do is only soothe the horse when it follows your commands. Otherwise, you may have one that doesn't exactly take your orders. For the most part, horses will stick to the main road unless you guide them otherwise. So it can be a fun automated way to run around Hyrule. You can also register them to stables, and in the follow-up, Tears of the Kingdom, you can earn pony points for all the activities that you do at stables. Plus, Tears of the Kingdom offers you a harness so that you can have your horse help you pull stuff across the land. With Breath of the Wild came the Rider Link amiibo. Let me tell you a bit about what you can get if you scan this physical horse into the game. In Breath of the Wild, there is a chance that the amiibo will drop the Traveler's Bridle and the Traveler's Saddle as a customizable option for your horse. And in Tears of the Kingdom, it will give you the Hyrule Hood fabric to match the one that Link is wearing on the amiibo. And there's one more Zelda-related offering with Nintendo Switch Online. If you go to the N64 app, you can re-experience the classic scenes with Epona in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And to a lesser degree, Majora's Mask. Next up, you may have heard of this little-known franchise known as Pokemon, and there's a few that are modeled after horses. So let's go over where you can find those in the various Pokemon games on Switch. I think the one that most people are familiar with is Generation 1's Ponyta and Rapidash. In Pokemon Generation 8 Sword and Shield, we got a Galarian Psychic variant. However, this only appears natively in the Pokemon Shield game. If you want it in Pokemon Sword, you're going to have to pull off a trade. In Pokemon Legends Arceus, you can find them wandering the Horseshoe Plains in Obsidian Fields, or you can find them in Mass Outbreaks. Pokemon Let's Go may have one of the best iterations of Rapidash purely because once it becomes a Rapidash, it's large enough for you, the player, to ride across Kanto. Pokemon Let's Go also makes it much easier to catch shiny Pokemon, so if you're looking for a Rapidash with blue fire, this may be your best chance. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the Rapidash line can be found in various routes, starting with Route 206. NSO recently got Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. You can find the Ponyta line in these games, but only through Wonder Mail Code Dungeons or the Joyous Tower. It's very late in the game by the time you can get this horse on your side. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX makes it much easier to recruit, since the Wonder Mail Code Dungeons are now just part of the regular post-game. Now, on to some other Pokemon horses. In both Generations 8 and 9, you can find the Mudsdale line. For Sword and Shield, you can find it in the wild areas or Route 3. Or in Gen 9, you can find it in just about any of the 4 major provinces. Keldeo is a mythical horse that was added to Sword and Shield via DLC. You can go to Balamir Lake in the Crown Tundra if you want to claim it, but only once per file. Keldeo can also be traded into Generation 9 through the Pokemon Home app if you have one from elsewhere. Speaking of the Crown Tundra DLC in Sword and Shield, that's where we got 2 new horse Pokemon, Spectrier and Glasstrier. If you purchase the Treasure for Area Zero DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you can go to the Savannah biome in Blueberry Academy to find the Blitzel line. And I'm going to keep this last one vague for spoiler purposes, but get to the end of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and you may find a few more horses of a legendary variety waiting for you. This next game is also from Game Freak, but it has a much bigger focus on horses. You may have heard of Pocket Card Jockey. The edition on Nintendo Switch is Pocket Card Jockey Ride On. In this game, you're not controlling the horses directly, but you are playing a critical part in their life as a racehorse. Through means that I dare not spoil, your character is able to become a world-class jockey just by playing solitaire. The better you play at solitaire, the better your horse will perform in the race. Just have to give it a little nudge in the right direction from time to time. Outside the races, you also get to see your horse through all the way to retirement. You get to raise them, train them, and even help them date. Your horses can even have kids who can grow up to become another one of your many, many racers. So far, we've only focused on quadrupedal horses, but if you're looking for something a bit more bipedal and someone you can actually talk to and get an actual response, then you're looking for Animal Crossing New Horizons, which has a few villagers who take the form of a horse. There are 14 total horses in New Horizons, though rather than list them all out, I'll just give you a couple of my favorites. Winnie, Renee, Cleo, and Buck. Fun fact, Buck actually lived in my first New Horizons island, and Renee ended up on my sister's island. But perhaps you're not content to simply race horses or engage in conversation with horses. Perhaps you're looking for something a bit more edgy. Perchance you're looking to summon demon horses in order to assert dominance across a post-apocalyptic land. In that case, you may be content with Shin Megami Tensei 5. Most recently, the game has had a re-release as Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, which adds a bunch of quality of life features and an entire second campaign. The horse demons you can summon include Bicorn, Kelpie, Oribus, and then a few that are riding horses like Eligor, Barith, and Valkyrie. But exclusive to the Vengeance version of the game is Unicorn, so keep that in mind when deciding which version of the game to play. Maybe you are looking for your horse to be a war machine, but you're not looking for it to be a demon. This is where Fire Emblem comes in. Some of the many unit types in Fire Emblem include Cavalry and Pegasus Knights. So if you want to guide your horses through a war, and strategize in order to have them take control over the enemy bases, then this franchise may be the one you're looking for. Cavalry units are very helpful because with their horse they have increased movement potential compared to on-foot units, and Pegasus Knights especially so because they can fly over tough terrain such as mountains and rivers. But there's a couple Fire Emblem games on Switch, so here's a couple differences for you. In Fire Emblem Three Houses, you take the role of an instructor, and it's up to you how you want to build your student army. One thing you can do in order to train the students is assign a couple to stable duty. And if they are on stable duty during their time at school, it will increase their potential for riding. And that is how you can train some of them into the cavalry units that I spoke so highly of. On the Golden Deer path, I would encourage you to keep an eye out for a fan-favorite horse named Dorte. Now, maybe you're not content to simply command the horses on a map. You want to control them more directly. You want to be the one telling the horse to plow through hordes upon hordes of enemies. Well, in that case, there are two Fire Emblem Warrior games on the Switch. The original Fire Emblem Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Both feature different cavalry and Pegasus units who you can run or fly through hordes of enemies before advancing with your combos. Alright, now usually I would tell you that units in Fire Emblem don't take shit from anybody. But there is one exception to this rule, and that's in Fire Emblem Engage. If you go to the stables in the Somniel, you can, very literally, take shit from off the ground. The horse manure item is a gift item that you can give to any of your other units in the Somniel. None of the units will enjoy this gift, for obvious reasons, but you will get a unique dialogue response from any unit. So, maybe it's a joke gift that you're willing to try. I'm sorry, have these horses been a bit too horse-like so far? A bit too animalistic? You need something with more of a human touch? Someone you can just have a good time with? Well, let me introduce you to Horace, the host of Everybody 1-2 Switch. Is it a horse? Is it a guy with a horse head? Is it a guy with a horse mask? I mean, that's entirely debatable, but however you choose to interpret it, he will host you through a variety of fun minigames. This is a more budget title, and it's also family-friendly and open to up to 100 players if you connect smart devices. With your own smart devices, Horace may have you playing red light, green light, bingo, trivia, or summoning aliens with squatting motions. It's a whole thing. Everybody 1-2 Switch is a surprisingly fun game, especially its color shoot minigame that my sister and friends and I still go back to from time to time. It may be a little tedious to unlock the minigames, as you are required to play the party mode, which randomizes which ones are available before you can play them from the free play menu, but if you can get past that hurdle, like a horse would, then you're going to find plenty of more good times with everybody 1-2 Switch. But I reckon when some of you think of horses, you think of the Wild West. So does Princess Peach Showtime. One of the many transformations in the game is Cowgirl Peach. When playing as Cowgirl Peach, you have your trusty steed who will take you through auto runner sections. You do need to be mindful that if you're going for 100% and you miss any gems that are in these auto runner sections, you are going to be stuck restarting the entire stage, no matter how far you got, in order to recollect them. You might finish the stage and then re-enter it, but that's just as good as restarting. But if you're not going for 100%, or you're able to look past that, then lassoing bandits is a fun time waiting to be had. Yeehaw! If you enjoy RPGs, but not so much tactical RPGs, then there's another option on Switch where a horse will accompany you through the good times and bad. When Miitopia was ported from the 3DS to Switch, a few new features were added, and one of those was a horse. There was no horse in the 3DS version, but it's a welcome addition on Nintendo Switch. When you find the horse, it will start to accompany you on your travels along with the rest of your party. Just like with any other Mii character, you can use the built-in editor to customize its look. Having the horse in your party opens up new options in combat, and, in between stages, you can bond with your horse in special scenes. Be prepared for one of the cutest adventures of all time. If you love horses, that's one more reason to be dismayed at the news that Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games may not be continuing ever. In Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the equestrian event returns from the past few entries. Here, any of the playable characters can ride a horse through an obstacle course. Do you have what it takes to bring home the gold? I would be remiss not to mention that this means that Yoshi can ride a horse. Which is kind of ironic because he himself serves the role of a mount in Super Mario World onwards. And briefly, while we're on the subject of Mario games, I have to mention that there is a minigame in Super Mario Party's Soundstage. The goal of the minigame is to have your horse jump in time to the rhythm to complete the course. Finally, if you're not looking for regular horses, but you are looking for seahorses, then you may be interested in the recent release of Endless Ocean Luminous, where there's a large variety of marine life to find. With up to 31 other people online, I might add. But I suppose that's stretching it at this point. Those are all the horses that I could think of on the Nintendo Switch system. But let me know if I missed any, or what your favorites are, down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, considering leaving a like and subscribing, and bye.